Yes, I think perhaps we should start and the others
Yes.
will eventually join in. Yes. Yes, good evening, everyone from Indian Women in Finland. It is so nice to meet you all again during this evening with my wonderful colleague Maitri Palicha here. And we have also a very special guest, Violeta Ivanova from Pori, joining us today. The topic of recruitment is super important for all of us, and we feel it like thousands of tips if we get on recruitment and how to do your job application right, how to speak right in the interview. It's always valuable to get these types tips from many experts who have gone through the same process in Finland. And when you land in a job of your dream, and that is the best feeling that one can have. So with that in our mind, and we also have started supporting many of you through our IWF mentoring program, and we have the season 3 going on now, and we have super motivated mentees and mentor pairs, 20 of them, with us here today, joining in various places from various places. So the point of meeting you today and having this very special guest Violeta with us is to give you or walk you through some very important and valuable tips about the process of recruitment in Finland and how what could you expect, what kind of soft skills are expected from the recruiters, and what are the nuances of doing interviews and job applications and being punctual to interviews or phone calls. So these kind of tips that we cannot get otherwise commonly from our own experiences, it is better to hear it from others. So with that words, I welcome you all to this webinar on ultimate talent recruitment tips from Violeta. And I invite Maitri to give or say a few words about Violeta here.
Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you all for today's session. We've had the biggest honor to have Violeta from Pori ES, which is also Pori Entrepreneur Society. She has been here for quite some time and she has also understood the struggle that we as foreigners who arrive in different countries, especially in a country like Finland, seek out when we want to get jobs. A small brief about Violeta. She's a registered physiotherapist. She also her skills involve health, wellness, performance, rehabilitation, gamified rehabilitation. Apart from that, she is also an esports player, very professionally. She also coaches a lot of ambitious esports player. Um,
Yeah,
we
Maitri.
have also had the really amazing chance to work together in Pori ES. I'm also a part of a team over there, apart from IWF. Pori ES is an entrepreneurial society that not just supports entrepreneurship, also supports a lot of uh, job seekers, students who are living abroad, especially in Finland and in and around Satakunta. We often have a lot of opportunities to come and interact with them to help them understand the local current job market and help them navigate their path further ahead in their careers. So, with warm welcomes, we hand over the entire floor to Violeta to start off with today's topic.
Thank you so much, and hi everyone. Nice to meet you, and once again, thank you IWF for the opportunity. I hope that today there's a little bit for everybody. Before I share my screen, the contents of today's talk are going to be based on roughly the materials that we have on our website, which is bories.fi. You can find the link into the chat box. And I will be walking you through some of the resources that you can use, which we have collected and have built particularly for these kind of situations where there's no need to share any extra materials. There's no need to take photos of the screen or take notes separately. It's all on the page. So you are able to also refer to it after this talk. So I'm going to share my screen and let's see. Hopefully it's gonna come out well. And you should all be able to see our main page. So from the main page, we're gonna go to Toolbox, where we have comprised like Maitri specified, a lot of what we do at Body Entrepreneurship Society has to do with learning, helping people get a network, get a footing in Finland, particularly within the Satakunta area, and try to build up from that, try to create a network, try to find their niche, whether that's going to be job search for working at a company, whether it's going to be trying out different ideas that may or may not lead to entrepreneurship. Our job is to help them find what is best for them, and in general, making the foreigner in Finland experience a lot better. So this is an ever-growing collection of information. For now, there are only 2 lessons, but a lot more will be coming. Today, we cover more the looking for work kind of things, like what do people really need to know, what is important. My background is so that I am from Bulgaria originally, so Eastern Europe. I've moved around Europe while studying and eventually found my way to Finland and settled in Pori. I have brought that experience, like all of these materials are pretty much have been created by me. I have used my experience as working since pretty much I was able to. So I have been working since I was 15. So a lot of different odd jobs, building this, the right focus when it comes to work, the right attitude when it comes to work. So like any job is better than no job. And then growing from that, trying to find your way as a career person. But there's a lot of things that you can learn along the lines. Specifically, what is different in Finland, whether you have just arrived or you have lived here for a little bit, there are some basic things that Finland does different to other places. Some of the places where I have lived before and where I have also worked have been Greece, Belgium, and Holland before eventually moving to Finland. So there are a few things that Finnish people do slightly differently. If you are unsure about your credentials when it comes to Finland, because a common issue is that a lot of people have a lot of experience from their home countries, but they're not sure how they can translate that into Finnish working life. I highly encourage you to check the International Professionals Finland or Interpro Finland, which is another organization based in Pori. However, they operate in all of Finland. They help people get legal representation for their education, the work experiences, any kind of paperwork that might be needed. There is read more button on our website. So if you are unsure about the legality of your credentials, I'm not going to cover through that today because I'm not a legal person. However, they have lawyer and legal personnel on their list. So you will be able to get a bit more specified advice from that. What I'm going to cover today is a little bit more general things. When it comes to Finnish job market and when it comes to job searching as well, because a lot of these things may seem small, however, they're able to make such a big impact and potentially sabotage a job search. One of the main things is punctuality and reliability. So being always on time, I think that across the board in different cultures works differently. What does it mean to be on time? I know that in Bulgaria, if I say to someone that, yeah, I'm gonna call around 5 o'clock, that might mean anything between 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. In Finland, if you say 5 o'clock, it means 5 o'clock, and you better be ready 5 or so minutes early in case the person is also available. If you cannot make it on time, you have to inform as soon as possible. That would extend not just to agreed meetings, but also schedules. agreements, work shifts, deadlines to certain things, both in education and in the working life. You are expected to do as agreed. However, if you are not able to, it is perfectly acceptable to inform or ask for help. In terms of professional skills, time management being one of the highest valued things in Finland. And Finland is considered the best place for skills development in Europe. However, that is where us foreigners are at the biggest disadvantage. Because in Finnish, you are expected to continuously and simultaneously develop your professional skills and education. That means you study while working, you are proactive doing that quite frequently at these sort of workshops that we have hosted in Pori. We have people with a lot of on-hand experience, a lot of practical experience from their home countries. However, they come with maybe 10 years of experience and they cannot get a job here. Why? Because they have 10 years of the same experience, while Finnish people at the same time have had a lot more education and advancing their knowledge, for which quite frequently companies pay. They will pay you to continue to develop your skills. However, if you are competing with other people on the same job position, employer is more likely to take the one that has the higher skills development, not necessarily the best hands-on skills. It could be that they're a pretty bad worker, however, they have done a lot to develop themselves in other areas, which is a more clear representation of your skills on paper, at least. And unfortunately, when you're being assessed for a job, what you have on paper and how well you can pitch that is going to affect whether or not you get chosen. If you are, again, unsure of what skills you would need, Interpro will be a very, very good contact for that, because of that legal aspect of things. The few kind of obvious things would be language. If you're in Finland or in any other country, you will be expected to speak the local language. It doesn't matter what country it is, English is only going to get you as far. As soon as it starts to become work-related matters, in some fields you might get away with just English, mostly in IT or technologies and research. But for anything else, you will be expected to speak Finnish in Finland. I would say Swedish language is often a trap being set towards foreigners. No offense to Swedish-speaking people, but if as a foreigner somebody tells you, okay, you can just learn Swedish language because it's so much easier to master than Finnish, it truly is. However, you'd be having better luck speaking English than Swedish in Finland. Even though it's a national language, pretty much nobody outside those circles speaks it. So I wouldn't encourage you wasting your time on that unless you are within those few areas in Finland that have Swedish-speaking population, or you work for a company that also seems to operate in other Scandinavian countries, has offices in Sweden or something along those lines. Otherwise, absolute waste of time. The fourth thing of the basics is the summer planning begins in January. It is very counterintuitive, and a lot of people get very late on the opportunities, especially for summer jobs, which are the easiest way to get an entry-level position in Finland, or at least try different fields before committing to a career path. Most foreigners don't associate January or February with summer jobs. They think, okay, summer is coming in a couple months, maybe around March or April, I'm going to be able to look for some jobs for the summer. They'll be full by then. The summer job begins, the search begins January, February. Everybody is expected to apply for those because the typical summer vacation in Finland is 3 to 4 weeks. That means a lot of the planning is done as soon as the work resumes in the new year. It means people are supposed to have already summer plans in January so that then the company can fill in those spots in the future. So now would be a pretty good time to apply for summer jobs if you don't know yet where or what you would like to do. On the website, you will find the most common places where you can apply for work, as well as other resources. A lot of them are only in Finnish. You can use Google Translate to go through them. But I would encourage you to put your application in Finnish. If the job application is in Finnish, that's usually a very good indicator. It doesn't mean that the language necessarily is going to be Finnish at the job, but for some reason the websites are gated in that way, and we just have to navigate through it. Unfortunately, most of them don't work with each other, so chances are you would have to make a few registrations, but once you do, and you have a good system to keep them updated, you will be good to go. So that is the first page on recruitment. This is just very general things. The main focus of today's session is on job application, particularly how to effectively and successfully read the job application, how to fill in the job applications, what attachments to include, and how to prepare them according to the application. So in terms of the application process, a tip that I can give you is that look at the job listing as a problem that the company has. The problem is lack of staff. That's what the company needs. The company needs someone to fill in that spot. The job requirements are your criteria, which would be the solution to the problem. The way you read a job offer can really determine whether or not you will get the job offer if you misread it. Once you examine it, what are the top skills that are required for the job? If you already have those skills, great. If you don't have them, you have to check the application period. Can you acquire those skills in a reasonable or close to the required level within that time? Because if you still have, for example, 2 months before the job application period ends, you can get those skills and then apply. You can always ask the recruiters for more details if the specifics are not listed, or if it's not clear enough. For example, if it's a programming skill and they have not listed anything more than just language, or it doesn't make sense, you can always ask them, what other technologies are you using? So for example, if you're using JavaScript, are you also using React? Are you also using Node? Are you using something else? Which can help you both seem interested in the position, but also gives you the possibility to develop that skill before the interview comes. So then you have more to show when that happens. A general rule for the application process is that recruiters don't read everything. They would skim through the applications depending on how big the company is. And the more words you will put in it, the more time you're going to waste on both sides. Sharing your life story, talents, interests, backgrounds, even though sometimes they ask for it, you can leave that to the point where you have the position. Until then, those strangers, they don't need to know the information that is not requested. You don't need to waste your time writing it, because there's no need for that. Chances are also that you will be rejected from the most applications that you send, and keeping a positive attitude, as much as I understand fully that it sucks. It absolutely sucks. Sending 50+ applications and getting no answers. That's that's a given, especially nowadays. But know that there is an employer for you and that there will be a spot for you. To help with that, because there is usually a lot of applying going, especially for summer jobs, especially after education or just starting up, chances are you will be sending close to 100, maybe more job applications. So on the website, you can find Google Sheets, which is right here. It is something that I have created for job application tracking. What do I mean by that? Let me just make my screen a little bit bigger so you can also see the sides. So what is this? This is an Excel sheet, which you can just save to your own Google Sheets. There are 3 tabs on the bottom, and I will go through later what documents are required. This tracker is so that you have a very easy way tracking your progress, and that you have list of companies and contacts that can help you, not just in the current job search, but also in the future. So it will little by little be built up. To be noted, all of the fields have this little yellow triangle at the end, at the top right corner. You have to just hover over and click on the read more. That will give you information on how to use this thing. You can use it through Excel as well, if that's what you prefer. But this is put on Google spreadsheets for ease of access. So the fields in here include job area, type of employment, company, offer, date applied, recruitment ends when, contact info, application, CV, pitch, and then what is the last step that you reached at that interview. In terms of job area, what do I mean by that? If you are applying to different fields, it could be useful to use a general term like IT maintenance, especially for summer jobs, especially for trying out different positions. That allows you to you can color code it, you can edit it any way you want. That is up to you as long as it's understandable for you. But you can use that as a reference in what kind of jobs are you looking for, especially if you have a contact in the unemployment office who is asking for it. If you have in the same field, so here the example would be front-end developer. That would help you have in the job area section, that will help you filter those things based on level of the job. Is it going to be a junior position? Is it going to be a regular, or is it going to be a senior? This way you can see whether or not you are applying out of your competence zone. If you keep getting declined for a regular programmer, for example, maybe you should go back to junior, get a little bit of experience there, and then move on to the next one, or vice versa. If you're applying for senior, maybe you should try the lower level and then go back up. So then when you are at the point where you can transition to the higher position, then you can filter the paper according to that position, and you will already have the contact. So that is what the idea of the job area is for. Type of employment, contracts can vary vastly. It can be part-time, full-time, shift work, open application. Is it a freelance? Is it a subcontractor offer? You can also use that to color code it. And then you can search a lot easier. Company is self-explanatory. What company did you apply to? And I encourage you to add a link to their website as well. The offer would be, the easiest would be link the job offer in there, or if you saw it somewhere in an image format, write briefly like what was the X amount of euros per hour, or some basic info about it. Date applied is self-explanatory as well. Recruitment ends means until when is the recruitment period for that job. What that means is that you have a finite point at which you have to think about that job. If it gets past that, some companies will notify you that, hey, our recruitment is done, so you were not selected. Some might not respond at all. But this is for you to not think about it anymore. If the recruitment is done, then it's done. That's it. Contact info is who is the responsible contact or who is the contact person for that position. Usually their info would be listed on the job offer. If it's not, you can always ask, or if you have received any emails from them, then that would be the information for that. I'm going to skip a little bit of the application, CV, and pitch and go to the last step. That is, what was the last step of the process that you reached? Was it that you reached an interview? Was it a multi-part interview or multi-step interview and you got to the first point or the second point, but you didn't get to the third? Did you even get a response from that company? What this will allow you to do is that if in the future you decide to apply for the same company, you can use that as your leverage. Like, hey, I got to the second stage interview last time, and I'm really interested in your company. How can I get a position now? Which could shorten your experience the second time over. On the application, CV, and pitch, we will cover those in a little bit. But this spot is so that you can utilize the third and fourth tabs here, or like rather the second and third tab, and you can have as many as you would like. The point of these, they also have those little orange triangles. When applying for the same position in different companies, typically there will be the same or similar questions. This section is for you to write down the answers that you gave them. And ideally, if you are applying for the same front-end developer job, chances are they will ask the same things, that you will be able to use the same CV. Write things down. You can have the translated versions as well in Finnish. I always encourage, even if you don't speak Finnish, make the applications in Finnish so that you at least get through to the interview. And then you can figure it out from then. But prepare the answers for this so that you don't have to think about it every single time. If you're applying for 5 positions in a row of the same type, you don't need to think 5 times basic questions and how to answer them. You will already have them. Just copy paste and move on with your life. Again, if you're applying for jobs in a different language, just put the translation in it so you don't have to go through it every single time. That goes in the first field. The second field, you can prepare a CV, and this is on Google Sheets so that you can also have access to your CV. You can link it in there. Ideally, for different kinds of job positions or career areas, you would need a different CV. You cannot use the same CV if you are applying for a front-end developer job, or if you're applying for example, video game developer. You cannot use the same CV, even if your qualifications are the same. So tailoring things according to the different areas, that is why you have in the progress tracking the type of field. So you code them based on this. And in the first section, you can add here the number, like, is it pitch deck 1, is it pitch deck 2? So then you can refer back to it. If you get to an interview, you can just go through, okay, what answers did I give them? And then it says, okay, it's a pitch deck 1. It's like, okay, I have the answers here. I know what I told them. You don't have to lie, as long as you have the confidence in pitching the same information twice. You don't want to tell them different things. And the tracking is so that you don't waste time applying to the same position twice. I think everyone has done it at least once in their life, that you just forget that you applied to a certain company and then you waste your time and apply again just to not hear from them again. It's not a good look, wastes time. So this is what this is for. You can link your CV if you also have them on Google Drive. If you choose to have this on Microsoft, same thing. On the third field is your pitch for the job. the pitch is going to be based on the questions that the answers to the questions that they had, your CV for this particular job, and the pitch has to be really, really short and concise, and that it just helps you narrow down the skill set and what you need for that particular job interview. The other example in this is with just an extra field for a portfolio, if applicable. If a job is, for example, for video game developer, you will need to include also portfolio. So that is for you to add in this as well. And you can have as many of these as you want. You can have a maintenance job CV, you can have coding CV, different roles. And this is all to help you streamline that process, how to get through it with as little pain as possible. If at some point there's a company that you have really bad experience with, you can just blacklist them on here, and then you know that, okay, I don't need to talk to these people anymore, because once in a while they do happen. Or if someone's contact name is just very problematic, you can just add that so that you know in the future. But this is free for you to use. If you have any questions with this, or if you need any help with this, you can always reach out to Boris, and we will be more than happy to help you, or IWF if you need any questions. So this is just to streamline your experience and to help prevent that so-called job seekers burnout, which is really, really common. A little bit on the attachments. I covered a bit in that spreadsheet, but in Finland at least, commonly requested documents would be CV or a resume, certificates or transcripts, in some job positions, portfolio, and in some cases, it's a good thing to attach a letter of recommendation. Cover letter is sometimes expected, mostly in academic positions, but it's not that big of a thing in Finland, at least in my opinion. The idea of these is that you have a couple of separate decks for different kinds of positions. It doesn't mean that you can't apply for many different jobs. You absolutely can. However, streamlining your applications within a couple of fields means that you don't need to prepare that many documents that fit with each other. If you are clicking on the pluses, there's always a little bit of an info coming here on like what is considered a CV or a resume, what is a cover letter. Transcript certificates are typically required based on the Finnish education system. So again, Interpro can help you with that if you are unsure how your previous certificates or education applies to the Finnish system. If the job requires specific certifications, for example, if you are working in a kitchen somewhere, that will require you to have, for example, hygiene pass or health pass or first aid or something. This goes under the whole transcripts or certificates, so you will be expected to present those. Letter of recommendation, it's not always required, but it's usually good to have. I would strongly suggest that you let the person know whether or not you can use their recommendation of you, or if they can be your contact person for recommendation. Otherwise, you can use your LinkedIn recommendations from the page and then paste them in there. That works as well. In terms of, you have all of this, you have gone to the final step, like you are going on a job interview. When people ask you, can you tell me about yourself? That is usually the one of the most difficult things to answer if you're not prepared for it. So in terms of job interview, we have a very step-by-step how to practice for it. So if a job listing is considered as the problem and your application is the solution to that problem, the job interview is going to be where you get to pitch yourself. And we have everything when it comes to pitching in here, particularly focused on being a job applicant. We have a different section for business pitching. If you're an entrepreneur, where you expect people to invest in you, that's a bit more complicated story. But a little bit of general information is going to be found here. So what is a pitch? It is the shortest way to communicate skills, product, intention. You're meant to capture their attention within the first punchline, essentially. Give them the key information, and most importantly, persuade them to take a specific action or make a decision in favor of the presenter. That means you get hired. The different types of pitching that you will come across, at least the most common ones, would be elevator pitch, which is the most common, 2 to 3 minutes. The name comes from the time it takes to ride an elevator, which would be 2 to 3 minutes. It can be used as a business pitch, sales, investment, most commonly used during a job interview. The more you iron it out, the better you will get at that, and the more confident you will get at that. Some people can use it as a crowdfunding campaign, because usually we have a very short video in there. So it is a very versatile type of pitch, but it's not an easy one because you need to narrow it down within 2 to 3 minutes. Business pitch would go separately because that would include sales, investment, partnerships, different causes that you are part of or you want others to take part of. And we will have a whole different section when it comes to seeking investments and pitching yourself to investments or your product to an investor. So not gonna go through that much. Project pitch is something that you may have to do even if you are already employed. In some cases, it could be if you're working for a research and development or for an educational institution at the end of the year. They might ask you if you have any ideas, if you have any future projects. So that would be the project pitch. Sometimes used in brainstorming, early stage development, human resources meeting, like mentioned, at the end of the year, or if you're trying to get a raise at the end of the year. Continuing employment in a way that you are creating value or you're creating work for yourself within the company. So not going to go through that much today, mostly going to focus on an elevator pitch and what's the point of pitching in general. The goals of pitch would be to capture the attention. Pretty much people will pay attention and they will make up their mind within less than a minute of the moment you walk into the room. You have so little time to make an impression that you have to make it worth their while. You want to make them keep listening. The way a pitch works is that you want to capture their attention as soon as possible. Then you want to build the credibility, why your knowledge, expertise, and confidence are the best for the job. And this is the point where most people, in my opinion, would fail. Even if you have a great CV, even if you have a great cover letter, you can have a long list of recommendations. If you can't sell your skills effectively, you're not going to get hired. People will trust what you tell them. So again, you don't have to go through the whole fake it till you make it or lying at an interview, because that will show and that's not going to do you a good service later on. But if you are very, very highly skilled and very highly educated, however, very poor at showcasing that to someone, they're not going to trust that you can make the job. And this is specifically, I would say introverts will suffer more from that compared to extroverts. Anyone having ADHD, autism, no matter the situation, you might have a harder time with that. But this is why we have a system to help with it. Mastering pitching is again, the most important skill that you can develop in your career. Being able to effectively present yourself, it doesn't have to do with just a job interview. It doesn't have to do with just a business setting. You just have to be confident, and you can actually train for confidence. You don't necessarily have to have it on the inside. Getting great at pitching means that you just need to practice. You have to watch other people's pitches. You have to practice your own, record yourself out loud, asking other people's opinions about it. Getting coaching from organizations such as ours is one option. Going on different events is a great place to practice that. Networking events is also a great way to practice it. No one is necessarily a born great pitcher, but you can definitely practice on that. One thing would be that if your business depends on it, we definitely recommend professional coaching, because the stakes will be higher for the company. So how to practice? This is built on the tell me more about yourself, the point at the interview. The way you can use this, it's timed within 2 to 3 minutes. You can find timers on the right side, and every section will tell you how you need to fill those up. So I would suggest that first you fill in everything as normal, and then you just speak it out. Calm, confident tone, the way you would be talking at a job interview. And then you little by little start to narrow down the information. Using ChatGPT is a really great thing. If you are unsure how to use the pitching format, if you've never done it before, ChatGPT is great for that. You can tell it to give you a pitch based on certain qualifications and to narrow down the pitch between 2 to 3 minutes. And it's going to give you how long each segment is going to last, as an example. And the only way you will get good at this is you just keep practicing. In terms of other questions that are commonly asked at an interview, I have included here some examples of that. So tell me about yourself, what to focus on. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Nobody actually really wants to know what's your weakness. Again, for strengths, you highlight only what is relevant to the job. For weaknesses, you can choose something that is, again, not critical to the job, but that shows steps that you've taken to improve. One example of that would be Finnish language. I know my Finnish language is not great. However, I have taken steps to improve that, or I am taking steps to improve that, something like this. Commonly asked would be, why do you want to work for the company? That comes with researching the company values, mission, culture, and try to make it so that your own views align with the company's. In terms of where do you see yourself in 5 years, they want to know ambition. They want to know that you will be a member of the company and you're not going to leave immediately. Again, the similar thing, why should we hire you? It is basically a mini pitch. So if you're confident in your 2 to 3 minute pitch, you can, again, highlight your passion for the job and do a little bit of the same thing again. In terms of questions, like, do you have any questions for the company? You can always ask about the company culture if you have not previously discussed that, or if it's not listed on their website, what team dynamics there will be, what team you will be a part of, the future direction of the company, and just genuinely being interested in the role or the organization. And of course, all of these you can refer back to whenever you're writing your applications. To help you with all of this, and to because I know it's going to be overwhelming if you're just starting up and you don't have any paperwork ready. In the tools and resources section, you will find a lot of AI tools. For example, Career.io, Resume.io, they will help you with AI to have a resume. different translations through DeepL, like you can translate a full document through that. Teal is very similar resume builder, content matching to job description. So you can copy paste the job description and they will help you with how to build your resume according to that. You're gonna have a lot of different AI profile picture makers or LinkedIn profile picture, different ways to use AI for customized CV that would pop into the interviewer's eyes when they're looking at it. For different document creations, that will mean whether it's portfolio presentation, whole pitch deck, you can have a little bit more custom things than the standard PowerPoint presentation layout. So you can have a nice portfolio digital flip book that applies also if you have created websites, but you want to have some visual representation, not just links. QR codes are one option if you're going in person. Pitch offers full-on pitch deck creation for whole teams. Squarespace would offer a website builder, and a lot of Adobe products can be utilized for free as well. Some of the other resources we have, they have to do with elevator pitch, so learning how to craft the pitch, watching someone do it, following their example and trying to do it yourself. Indeed is also one of the biggest platforms worldwide for job search. So that is also on how to give an elevator pitch at a job interview. And the third video we have here is by Jamila Musayeva, who teaches etiquette. So what is a job interview etiquette? How to arrive at the job interview, what is a good practice, what to bring, how to behave, also after the job interview. So very, very basic information, but things that people quite frequently forget. We're not going to go through it this time, but I want to showcase that we also have on the topic of LinkedIn setting up, there is a whole step-by-step thing, like what you should focus on, what is required, how to build up that space, because LinkedIn is almost always requested in Finland. And part of it is LinkedIn Learning, which again, on the skills part, if you need a reference point for your skills, if you need just that paper to prove that you have that skill, even though you have not formally trained for it, LinkedIn is one of the places where you can get that, because you will get self-paced video-based lesson. They have transcriptions, which you can translate if you don't understand fully, and you will get a certification for skills that you may not have yet, or you may already have, but you just don't have the paper. So this is great if you have clear gaps in your job resume. That's one way to do it. But that is all I have for today, and we can take some comments and questions, I think.
Violeta, thank you so much. It was like a treasure trove of information and tools for everyone to use. I'm actually ready to apply for my new job. If there is a new position, I am so well prepared after your speech here. And also the lots of information about the AI tools. I have never used anything from your list myself at all, so I need to check it out. That also shows that whether you are in a job or whether you are looking for a job, your knowledge and about what is really currently happening and what kind of expectations are there, you have forgotten all of them to upgrade your observation about tools and formats and expectations. So I think this is a good session for all of us to refresh something that is happening now, and how alert we should be in or handy in using some of these AI-based tools, even for applying for jobs. So that's a great tip. So I think we could open the floor for questions. So if somebody has any questions, please just raise your hand and open your mic and speak. And please be brave. You can also sit with Violeta in the future for an one-to-one review of your CV. We can also have other short sessions with her. For example, she was speaking so nicely about LinkedIn, pitching. So there are so
Okay.
much a wealth of information and
Okay.
expertise that she has. Yeah. So please go ahead and please introduce yourself. Anyone? So somebody in iPhone, I don't know the name. Do you like to ask a question?
Well, I have a question while we wait for others to start speaking up. But thank you so much, Violeta. It was a very good insight, and it was a very big depth of how we have to start looking out for a job. But my main question is, I'm not sure, but with the Finnish skill that we need to have something like at least an A1 level where we are at least able to understand when we are spoken to. But my question is that could we start applying on A1 skills, or according to your experience and knowledge, what you have, what is the best level at Finnish we should start applying for a job?
I would say I am a registered physiotherapist. I've worked and work in healthcare, which is arguably the most challenging place to work if you don't know the language, because people's lives depend on your skills. When I moved to Finland and I studied fully in English at SAMK, so Satakunnan ammattikorkeakoulu, or Satakunta University of Applied Sciences, I studied in English. We had mandatory clinical practices from year 2. We had very little Finnish language lessons in school, so the most Finnish I have ever learned has been during my clinical practices at work. I would say that for all my years in healthcare, which is already close to 5, I have never had anybody, no doctor, no nurse, no patient, tell me that I don't understand what you're saying, or that something went wrong. You can always check things. In some places, you're not expected to have your phone in your pocket. However, work phones are a thing. You can always have your phone. It's perfectly okay to Google Translate things. If in healthcare, and this is an issue of employers, which we have definitely tried to do a lot of work to make employers understand what really means good Finnish skills, and do you really need those good Finnish skills? Because if healthcare does not really need the fluent skills in order to take care of people's lives, then someone making a front page for a website really does not need the fluent Finnish skills. It is a two-part problem. I would say, as someone in healthcare, don't be discouraged if you don't speak the language. You can always have your phone. It's perfectly okay to Google Translate things. If I need to write very long reports now in the hospital system, I'm not gonna write them in Finnish. I don't have the time to do that. I will write them in Google Translate in English, skim through it to make sure that there's no weird words, ask a colleague if I don't know how a certain type of kitchen or bathroom is called because of a home assessment, if somebody has a very strange home, like if I'm assessing ergonomics. So I would ask, and that's perfectly okay. People will be willing to help you out. That's why I said that even if you don't speak the language, of course, you should focus on learning the language if you want to have a better experience overall in Finland, even if that's not the place where you want to live for the rest of your life. It's good practice to do it the same way that you would expect someone to learn your language by moving into your hometown, for example. But don't be discouraged. Have your CV in Finnish. Make it in Finnish. Just add your levels of language. You can say that, yeah, my Finnish is very rudimentary, like really basic, but here's all the other qualifications I have. So the point will be do you want a native worker or do you want a qualified worker? And a lot of companies who choose the native over qualified worker, that's not a place you want to be working at anyway, to be honest. Like if they claim that the work culture would be something that you might feel excluded during the coffee breaks, for example, that has nothing to do with your skills. They're valuing the time you spend chit-chatting at the coffee break more than the skills and the job you can do for them. And you don't have anything to do with that company. You don't want to have anything to do with the company. They're not for you. They're not going to appreciate it. And I can absolutely guarantee you that there's other companies that will. But this is something that you will experience no matter what. I've not come across any other place that hasn't made that comment. Like, how are you going to deal with the colleagues and whatnot? It's like, yeah, it's going to be challenging, but so what? You can manage. I manage in healthcare. And my Finnish level is not that high. I have lived for 13 years here, but because it's really difficult to find advanced Finnish language courses like spoken, I can get by really well. It's not perfect by any means, but spoken language, I can communicate just fine for the most part. Written, it's definitely suffering. So Google Translate is the way to go. And again, no one has called me that, hey, by the way, I saw your home evaluation text and I can't understand anything. Guess what? In the hospital, there's also foreign doctors that also need to deal with the same problem. And chances are there's going to be some miscommunication at some point. But if nobody has died in the hospital because of that, coding a front end page on a company is not going to be the end of the world. And you can absolutely bring that up in an interview. Just make it part of your justification of why should we hire you? Meaning, why should you hire me instead of a native person? It's like, well, because I can bring you all of these other skills despite my language barrier. So use
That's
it to your
really nice.
advantage.
Mm.
That's a great insight that you have given us.
Yes. So that brings to my second question here that you spoke about doing the CV in Finnish, and I think they can do either the CV or at least the motivation letter in Finnish just to show that they are willing to try things in Finnish. Um, do you know of any organizations or like free career coaches who would help, for example, our mentees here to make a CV in Finnish? Are you aware of any services?
Yeah, literally all the AI services that you can see on there. I believe that in most of them, at least, you can select the language. Or if you cannot select the language, you can use them to make a good CV in English and then just use Google Translate to go through it, or input them in DeepL, which is also AI, and you can put full documents in there. If you have the pro version, you can also have like they are deleted after the use, they're not saved in any database, so you have the confidentiality. You can totally use that, and AI is great because it saves you time. The reason why people don't make custom CVs or cover letters is because it takes a lot of time to write it custom. AI has gotten so far, even if you just use ChatGPT, it works in any language. You might have to skim through it and make sure that everything is fine, but or you might need to, get a buddy to have a look at it. If you can, send it to us. We can also have a look. We have a few native Finnish speakers in our organizations who can give you tips on that if you don't know anyone else in your circle. But ideally, AIs, they do really, really well. If you already have an interview, toss it in DeepL, which is AI translation for full documents. You can have full PowerPoints, you can have PDFs, Word documents, anything in there, and it will do a pretty decent job.
Okay, that's super good to know. And are these tools free? Whatever tools that you had suggested on your website, are
Yeah.
they most of them free?
Yeah,
Okay.
most of them are free to one extent or the other. DeepL has a free version, but it also has a pro version, which has the whole confidentiality. Obviously, as with any AI, don't put personal information in there that you don't want it to remain on the internet. That's a general rule for anything. But Even if you literally take bits and bits of text of everything, use Google Translate, copy paste it back, and then keep it on the spreadsheet that I showed you to just have it in there. So you don't have to do this back and forth all the time. That's still enough. I've done that in the past. That way you can make a more custom CV if you like to use like Photoshop, Canva, or something else. You can do it that way.
Okay, super good. Thanks. Good to know. I have
Mm,
one more question. Or Maitri, do you want to go?
yes, if you don't mind, Kit.
Yeah, please do.
At the mention of cover letter, like when how do I relate this? When I was earlier looking for a job, I can talk about when I freshly graduated from college. Cover letters weren't a thing. So my question in the current job market in Finland, are cover letters as equally important as your resume, or that is something that people can let go of?
I think cover letter is very much on the way out, at least in Finland. Again, academic work, academic area, that's pretty much one of the very few places where I have come across a cover letter being required. I would personally be dissuaded to even apply for a job if it requires a cover letter, because I'm one of those people that I value my time. If you're gonna make me make a CV and a cover letter and a video introduction and something else, I'm not interested anymore, because that already takes so much from my time before even knowing whether or not the job is for me. So I would say first, if a job requires a cover letter, and if you don't know whether you want to deal with it or not, because it has to be a little bit more personalized, use AI, 100% use AI for that. You don't need to make it manually. But if it's again one of these where now more and more I have seen people requesting a video introduction or like something about 1 to 2 minute video recording of yourself. Um, if you feel like the job requires too many steps to do or too time-consuming steps, reach out to the recruiter first. Ask them key information. What is the salary range, so that you even know whether or not it's worth your time to apply? Where is it situated? If it's not clear, if you're looking for a remote job and it doesn't specify, make sure that it is really remote, and make sure that this is really a job that you would like, meaning your time spent is not going to be, wasted. But I would say cover letter is not really that needed. CV, diploma, or certificates are the two most commonly requested things, and things I would bring with me to a job interview as well in a printed format. Portfolio, again, depending on the field, not every field requires it, but if you have one, it's good to have. Personal website, also really nice to have, although an additional charge, but it is a very nice thing to have to add to the job interview conversation or in a job application.
Great, great. Thank you, thank you. Kit,
Yes.
you can take over.
I'm just checking if anyone has any questions and would like to ask. I think Suvita, maybe.
Uh, Hi to everyone. I'm not having a question, but I want to thank Violetta and this team because I grasped more ideas and more guidance from her. That is, when I applied for one job application, that is, it was mentioned in Finnish. I applied my CV in my resume in English, but I received feedback that this, unfortunately, your Finnish language is not to our desired level. Yeah. So the thing what I understand from your talk is when the position is in Finnish, we have to apply our resume also in Finnish. So it's a good thing I came to know. And then the next one is when we are introducing by ourselves, it should be very short and sweet to introduce ourselves. And at the final end of the interview, we have to ask a few questions what are in our mind. So these things I get to know from your thing. Yeah, thank you, Violetta, for this.
Thank you, and absolutely having materials in Finnish, and like, see, this is just the harsh truth. A lot of applications will get dismissed simply because the name isn't Finnish. My surname is Ivanova, which is as Russian as it sounds, even though I have nothing to do with Russia. Am I going to get profiled as a Russian? Absolutely. Has it been told to me in my face at a job interview that, oh, you don't look very Russian? It's like, yeah, because I am not Russian. Surprise. Chances are people will try to profile you. If they see all the information in English, they're just going to diss your interview. So this is the most steps you can take before getting to a job interview. And I've always been very clear about my skill in the CV, but that means that they at least get to open my CV. If they don't understand that my Finnish level is not that great from my CV, they should maybe read it better. So then if you show up to the interview and you speak English, that's not your fault. They just didn't read it. And then you can remind them that, hey, by the way, it says that my Finnish is A1, which is, you can easily put A1 even if you don't know anything in Finnish, to be perfectly honest. And then you can continue in English. And then if they get confused, it's like, okay, well, maybe you should have read my job interview requirements and my application better. And that's not anymore your problem. It's on them. They should have done better. But you absolutely should do them all in Finnish. And feel free to use the website to remind yourself again. Use it as a guide when applying. It's designed, the toolbox is designed so that when you open the job application, that you can follow and cross-reference everything that you need from there. Because I fully get it. It's a lot of information being dumped on you tonight. And a lot of it will be forgotten, but that is why I chose to not have a separate presentation, but you can find all the info on there available.
Thank you. Any other feedback or comments? We are looking at the time and we should be wrapping up in a few minutes. So anyone else? Okay, yes. I have one last question, or if Maitri has another one.
No. Please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to ask you about something that you mentioned as Interpro. Is it international professionals or something, that group or a network? If you could tell a bit about them, it could be useful for many here.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna toss a link into the chat so everybody can see it. There are fellow organizations. I'm not affiliated in any way with them. However, we do a lot of events together, particularly when it comes to job search, client work, and the legalities involved with that. So we do a lot of events together. I'm not a member or anything. They just do a lot of good work when it comes to helping people really get the most out of their degrees, in terms of their qualifications and how to legalize that within Finland. So they have the more legal part. We take care a lot more on the how to build a network, how to pitch yourself, how to think with different ideas, and how to potentially turn those ideas into a venture or into a business, and where to get everything you need for that. So we have different functions, but they would be definitely the people that I would comment if you have anything to do with legalities. So that is what the organization is for, and highly recommend, because a lot of people miss out just because their degrees don't get recognized in Finland, or maybe they don't know better. It could be that a lot of things are recognizable, but you just need to do a little bit of work to do it, and their services are available for those.
Thanks so much for this very, very useful information again. Violeta, perhaps my last comment or a question, what could we do more with you in the future? I mean, you have a wealth of expertise and tools that we can learn a lot from you. So in your own perspective, what could you do with us, like sessions like this or like one-to-one sessions for our mentees? So could you please tell a bit about that?
Literally anything that people would need. I'm completely open to help people out if they need someone to have a look at their whether it's a job application and they're unsure about it, whether it's something about using any of those AI tools, whether it's someone to have a look at their CV or to practice their pitch. Again, we could do a whole pitching session alone where people actually get to practice and get to speak out in smaller groups. We can definitely do that. If anyone is interested in joining Body Entrepreneurship Society, you don't necessarily have to be in Body to do that, but you get full access to all of our events if you want to come, at which you will get also mentorship, because we do have guest mentors for those. If you're interested in moving to Bori, or if you're within Satakunta, absolutely do that. I highly recommend it. It's a great place. It's even better place to start a business. And I'm not being paid by the city of Bori. I just genuinely like it here. You're not gonna pay €1,000 plus Helsinki rent. No offense to Helsinki people here, but you know how bad it is. But yeah, Porias in general, it's here to help everybody. So whether you have a business idea and you need help in terms of where you can get funding or how you can even do the registrations and all of that procedure, then we can help you through that or direct you to others. We're also connected to other entrepreneurship societies. So if you want to swap networks, that's also possible. But feel free to reach out. We have our emails on the web page. So any questions, comments that you may have, feel free.
Thank you so much. I think we
And
can't thank you
if
enough.
it is okay with Violeta and Kit, I would also like to add one more thing about Pori ES. I've been a part of Pori ES for I think 2 years now. And Pori ES, from the time I have joined, they have this amazing Pixels event that comes up every year. We usually have two versions, if I'm not wrong, where a group of aspiring job seekers or entrepreneurs come onto the podium and they are allowed to pitch the product, and then they're chosen to mentor further by not just Pori ES but by Sataedu and Samk. So there are often a lot of these kind of events and how do I say, mentoring done in every possible way. So I would highly like to let our mentees and fellow mentors also know that there is a possibility, and Violeta is a very very good mentor for that. Apart from Violeta, there are other three people in the team. They are also very well established in their own fields, and they are very good guides and navigators through the career path. So I just wanted to add that.
Thanks so much for the
I would add
information.
a final comment on that, in the sense that if everything I said today in terms of skills and everything else, if you feel that this is very overwhelming, that you are looking for a jobs but you do not have the skills, if you have some idea or you don't really know yet what field you're interested in, but if you essentially have the time for it, through 40 years, you can work on those skills. Whether that is, I don't think that many coders would have a problem with it, but if you have any kind of skills when it comes to whether it's social networking, marketing, event organization, working with people, working with clients, or just something that you want to work on or you want to be a part of, and for which you can certainly have part of your CV, because while it is a volunteer organization, you still get the skills through it. And if you have the time, you are able to do that on the side, and then you can have something in your CV from that, and you get a recommendation from us as well, of course. But we are also able to mentor you through, if you're interested, for example, in marketing or in social media, if you see a lot of jobs that require that, but you don't have those skills, and just having your own Facebook account or Instagram account, that's not enough. You can join our organizations or similar organizations and be a more active volunteer, so you can get those those skills from a Finnish company because we are a registered organization. So you can get that on your CV, and then it's at least one contact person that can recommend you forward, and you get a network out of it, both with companies and with other people.
Hi,
Yes.
this is Geetika. I have a question here. So to this point that you have just mentioned, if one has to follow this process, so how should one go about it? Like, do I need to register myself?
So all of our materials are for free on the website. If you are interested in getting a more active role and to actually work with us
Right.
and get coached, you can become a member. Membership is on the website. It is completely free. And then we will get in touch quite soon. Actually, we're going to have an association meeting for this year. And at that point, we are expecting that we operate through Discord typically, and the association meeting is usually online. So people get a chance to introduce themselves, and because I am the chairman, I expect people to be open and I'd like to do this. I can do this. I can dedicate this much time to it. What can we do about it? And then we go from there. So anyone is welcome to work on their ideas. If anybody needs a time off, then they get the time off. Like that's not, if you need to change countries, you can change countries. Like that's not a problem. But people have quite a lot of freedom. It's not a strict hierarchy. We're a quite small team, so any ideas are welcome or any kind of projects are welcome. I encourage everybody to use the organization to their benefit in any way that you want. You can absolutely leverage it at a job interview because entrepreneurship societies are all around Finland in every major city. Finding the right one for you is in a way not that difficult, but also it can be quite challenging if you are more oriented towards the job search part, which not many of them do, but which we focus actually quite a lot on, especially for foreigners. So become a member. We will be sending info via emails to the associations. We have an Instagram as well. All the info is on the webpage. If you have any questions, send an email, get in touch via Discord. Anything works, and we'll get you started. It's all free. You don't have to pay
Yeah,
for
I
anything.
get it. Thank you so much.
Mm.
This
If
helps.
there's
Thank you.
any guidance that you need, you can also contact us at IWF and we will guide you how to navigate and be a part of PORES as well.
Sure,
Yeah.
Metri. This is helpful. Thank you.
That's true. Yeah, thank you so much. I think we have, we have overrun our time intended, but Violeta, you are a lady of many hats. You're an entrepreneur yourself, physiotherapist, and a mentor and whatnot. We're very, very lucky to have your contact here and also your help for us. And we look forward to doing more sessions useful for many of us here. Thank you so much once again. And thanks to all of you who have joined here. And Maitri, thanks so much to you. You did all the basic foundation for the session, and thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good evening, and then take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for
Bye-bye.
having me.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.